So in today's video, we are going to be taking apart the Nerd Octaxe. So this is obviously a solo Bitcoin miner, and we have a couple of things that we can take apart on this. This video is mainly to show you kind of the chips underneath, which binning number they are. After we had that video about binning numbers, we want to see what's underneath, and also showing you kind of the features that come with the Nerd Octaxe. I'm sure it'll be very similar to a Nerd QX, and then just bigger. But we have to take off firstly the whole board by here, and then secondly take out the fans and heat sinks that you see there, and then lastly so this has kind of been running for, I want to say, maybe around 2 months now. We got this recently, and obviously it's still got a lot of dust on it from the room, so there's some dust in there which we'll clean out as well, and then we'll repaste it overall. So main purpose of this video is just to show you the teardown, show you what's underneath on the chips. This miner can currently do around 9 terahash, but we did take the overclocking up to around 11 in a previous video, and the only thing that was kind of limiting us was the power supply, but this comes with a newer power feature, which is the XT30/60. Can't remember which one it is, but it's the bigger version of the stuff that you see on the Zyber 8 or the Gamma Turbo. You obviously have the LCD screen there, and this is a new addition, which is the fuse by there, which is a 15 fuse. And on the Nerd QX, I believe that was a 10 and 8 fuse, depending on the kind of revised versions of these. But first thing we need to do is unplug the fans, because this fan runs all the way back into the back fan. So unplug those and then take it actually off this frame so we can get at the screws at the back and take them out as well. So if you've seen other videos, this heatsink is quite easy to take apart, and there's a lot of upgrades you can do. We could have a double copper heatsink on these if we really wanted to, but it cost us around $30 each for each side, and the efficiency drop isn't really that much. But if you still want to get your hands on one of these, I believe that you can still get 10% off on power mining. You can use the link in the description for that. So let's head into actually taking it off. And first thing we do is just unplug the fan by here. So take that out. And then I believe it's also daisy chained into this fan. So we'll have to unplug that as well. So I think it's also clipped on there, as you can see. So we'll have to just unplug all of them and then remove this clip. It's probably just there to hold it in place so it doesn't actually hit the heatsink, but we'll do that now. So we've taken, or at least taken that apart. Now we can just remove this. So that's going to daisy chain into the back, and then it's powering 2 fans at the same time. And then we just need to unplug that one, but we can also keep it on. It doesn't really matter for taking the actual board off of the frame that it's sitting on. As currently there is 3 fan headers there, so I don't know why this one's daisy chained into that one, because it also feeds through the back, but they could be an upgrade later on down the line for this back fan that is also sitting in there as well. But let's now take it off the frame and we'll show you what it looks like without the frame. Okay, so there we have it taken off of the case, or the stand that it was actually in, and if we turn it over we can see where the chips would be. So you have 4 here and then 4 there, covered by the heat sinks. Obviously a little bit of dust on there, we'll clean that off later. But one thing I want to note is that there's a lot of holes in here, so different to I think what you see on the Nerd QX. You have like these holes here. I think that's more for airflow and just a bit of little extra cooling. I know some of them are actually used to, for example, if those holes here, you could put the thing that's below it on this side, depending on what you want it to do. But you can see that there's also holes here, and I don't think that they are filled. So a little bit of extra cooling. I don't really think it's doing much, but hence why you have the back fan blowing on the back of this as well. But only thing we need to do now is actually flip this over, and you can see kind of in more detail there the fuse, so it says 15 on it. This is typically like a car fuse, very different to the NerdQX fuse, which I'll show you now, because I believe that that is the previous fuse, and that was very hard to get as a part. So if you make it a car fuse, that's very easy to actually replace, and you don't have to worry about sourcing that type of fuse by there. So typically, like the same way that we do every kind of teardown of the NerdQX, we just want to take off the back points, and those are going to kind of screw into the fans. So we can just do that now. These are actually tightened on quite tight, so we'll just cut when I've actually undone all of them. And one thing you're going to want to do before we cut this is make sure that you keep a hold of firstly kind of the spacer and then the other washer to protect the board, because sometimes I have lost them whilst it's kind of floating around, or you unscrew it and then it drops onto the floor. So make sure that you keep kind of everything intact by there. So here we have us taking off the chips. As you can see there, you have your chips on the bottom, so you have 4 there and 4 there. A bunch of dust as well, which we'll have to clean off, so we can just move these to the side. And all we're going to do is clean up the chips. We'll show you kind of a view on the chips, and we'll cover off what we mentioned in the earlier videos talking about the binning number, so we'll go through that. As you can see here, a lot of holes. I don't know if that is for the actual fan or not. You guys can let me know in the comments, but it would actually help airflow if you could get more air through by this part. And then you have the voltage regulators at the top and pretty much everything else. So there is a slight little kind of transistor on these middle parts as well, which is covered with thermal paste, but we'll show you that when we've cleaned it up. Just going to hit this with some isopropyl alcohol and a couple of Q-tips and maybe a cloth, and that should remove all of this, and then we'll see underneath on the chips. Okay, so as you can see here, we have actually cleaned off the, and if we zoom in here right now, I just move this here, we can see the chips underneath. Still need to do a little bit of cleaning up on the thermal paste, but we're fine for the most part. It looks like these are all BM1370BCs, and there is the same on the other side. So BM1370BC, and then that's just kind of the lot that it came from. So when we were talking about the kind of binning process, I believe AA and PC or PG is some of the best ones. Forgot what the actual numbering system goes like, but there are better ones than the ones that you see under here. And apparently they're more efficient sometimes because they're using later models of the kind of S21 series, which means that they are actually technically better. But for the most part, it doesn't really matter overall. We had problems with the binning process for some of our miners because some of them were underperforming by a little bit on the efficiency, and I think it's due to the chips underneath as well. But for the most part, this is what the chips look like. We've also cleaned up the heatsink and the rest of the board, tried to get most of the dust off it. So now all we have to do is repaste it, chuck it up onto, repaste it, and then put the heat sinks back on, and then we can actually get it running again. So the main thing is just to show you underneath the whole chips and show you what it looks like. So if we zoom out here, so you have your chips arranged by there and by there. Same thing that we kind of saw earlier. Cleaned up the heat sinks, so no thermal paste on there. And today we're going to be using the MX6 thermal paste to put it on all of these. I'd like to do an experiment later on in the future. If we have a firmware which allows us to see the temperatures of each chip, what we could do is put one type of thermal paste on here and then another type of thermal paste on here, and then do a comparison between the two. I don't think that that actual firmware is released yet, but I have seen some of it kind of floating out there. So we might be able to tell you kind of which thermal paste is the best for your ASIC chips based on the findings of that. So we'll do like a full comparison. Maybe we'll do top two, bottom two, different thermal paste, or we could just thermal paste on all of them and do like a split test like that. But now all we need to do is add the thermal paste back on. Okay, so we have one side of this added with thermal paste, as you can see in there, and then we've kept the other side clean, just because we want to be able to put the fan on this, because I think if we do it whilst we have two sides of thermal paste, it's going to be harder to actually do that. So what we want to do is just put thermal paste on one side, attach the fan, and then put thermal paste on the other side. So that's what we're going to be doing now. And then we'll come back when we have the fans put back on. So we have our first fan on there, as you can see, and then we're going to do the exact same step. I just thought it was easier than trying to line up, because on the heatsink you have these little spaces and you can't really line that up on both of them without them falling out. So you want to have just one put on first and then put on the other one afterwards. So that's what we're going to do, and then we'll put it back onto the frame, give it a whirl and show you on the computer. So there we have it, all hooked up, as you can see, on the fans and onto the frame that we have there. Now we're just going to plug it in and turn it on, and then we'll head over to the computer, just see what it's registering and see where we're pointing the hash rate towards. So overall, I think it was really easy to actually put this on, and it wasn't too much of a hassle to repaste it. There is things like the Zyber 8, which was kind of hard to repaste, but this one was pretty straightforward. Just take off the heat sinks by there and repaste from there, same as a Nerd QX. I just thought I'd show you, or in case anyone kind of needs a guide later on in the future. But now let's head over to the computer. Okay, so we've got this back up and running, as you can see here, and I don't remember what we were sitting at in terms of the hash rate or the overclocks, but this looks like a default one. I think we need to take this up a little bit to give the miner an actual boost on the hash rate, because we were trying to get it super efficient and it wasn't really registering super efficiently. Currently at around 7.8, but that will hopefully change when we up the core voltage. So yeah, so that changed there, and then it's trying to get up to the expected, which is 9.7 at the current rate, and best difficulty since system boot 7.4. Not really anything else that is throwing anything off here. ASIC temperature increased a little bit there, but I'm sure it'll get down to 60 at some point as the fans kick in. And then we have our VR temperature by there, which is sitting pretty good. Currently mining to solo hash, so if we click in here and we see what our total hash rate is, it's currently 9.7. We turned off most of the rig because we're cleaning out a bunch of things, but our best share ever to here is only 25G, which we're not having much luck with higher difficulty shares at the moment. I know we went through a span maybe last year of hitting super high shares in the T range, so we had 889G on the Nerd QX, and then we had one for the Zyber 8, which was 1.3T. I don't expect to hit one of those, maybe I expect to hit at least two of those in the next year, but as again, it is just luck on the network of what your share is going to be that you hit in the future. And I think we've actually climbed up to that 9 range, so all it needed was a little bit more core voltage to bring it up to the correct hash rate there. So comfortably, I'd say sitting at 9.7, and we'll just let that run for however long. We are going to be repasting a bunch of the other ones as well. I don't really know if you guys want to see videos on that, because I've already made videos on them, but we're just doing kind of a clean out before the summer hits, as we need them to be putting off less heat in the summer. Otherwise the room that we're mining in is going to get very, very hot. So that's the main thing that we're doing this whole repasting. We normally do this every 5 or 6 months, but I just thought that the Nerd Octaxe has been collecting dust for quite a while, and so have the rest of them, and we need to do an actual deep clean of the heat sinks, as they still all have a lot of dust in them. And the best way I think to do that is probably to buy compressed air and just blow out all the dust in all of the heat sinks. We'll see if we can try get a video on that as well, but it'll probably be pretty quick, as we're just going to be blowing out all the dust of the fans and then hooking them back up. But if you guys want to see videos on that, then please let me know. So that's it in terms of repasting that. If you're having any problems repasting the Nerd Octaxe, please let me know and I'll try to help you out. Make sure you like this video and subscribe for more content like this.